I have a question for you.
Perfect.
आपकी कोई कैसे कहेंगे आपकी सबसे पसंदीदा मुसन्निफ़ा कौन है?
Um, ठीक है तो मैं J.K. Rowling पसंद करता हूँ
अच्छा,
लेकिन
ओके।
मेरी पसंदीदा मुसन्निफ़ा oh sorry this is a very easy one. Agatha Christie.
Oh, that's a name I hear all the time, but I haven't read her.
You've never read an Agatha Christie?
No. All right, I'll
You've
add her to the.
you've never read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd?
I have not.
This is embarrassing, Shireen.
Is it okay? Well, it's
Put
not
that
gonna make
put that
the.
in the beginning.
No. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Urdu Seekhiye. I just wanted to share a bit about something that is happening in my life. So these days, every Sunday, I take this Urdu literature course and online. And in it, there are other students like me who are South Asian, who were born in Pakistan or India, but have been raised here. So they're American, or they were born here and, born in the South Asian family. And so they're part of the South Asian diaspora. And we were talking a lot about the diaspora and their desire to connect with the language. And that got me thinking that as many people as there are out there who need this stuff, who want this stuff, I feel like there should be a greater following or greater listenership. What I would like to ask of you is if you're enjoying this podcast, what I would love for you to do is if you could maybe repost one of our posts or just share it with someone either on your, social media page or through WhatsApp or whatever. I would really like to keep this resource free for as long as possible. And I'll more likely be able to do that if I have a greater listenership, right? So that's
Are you gonna share it on social media?
share what on social media.
The Urdu CK podcast.
I already do.
Oh, then I should probably do it. So I'll be doing my part.
Exactly. Yeah, I was hoping you'd say that. So perfect. With that, let's continue with our episode for today.
ठीक है तो आज का प्रोग्राम क्या है?
आज का program grammar है.
All grammar, like every single thing.
वो आप बताएंगे ना?
ठीक है. So today we're going to cover gender in Urdu, specifically like what gender Urdu nouns are, because it's kind of important to know, right? For conjugating verbs a lot of the times, or for adjectives to agree, we have to know what the gender of a word is. And I'm pretty sure that somebody requested this, right, Shireen?
Right. Yeah. Sana on our Instagram page requested an episode focused on gender in Urdu. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So this is for you, Sana.
Yes. So let's jump right in. Urdu has two genders, masculine, which in Urdu is muzakkar in Urdu, and feminine, which is monas. Muzakkar and monas. So my first question to you, Shireen, is how do we know what gender a noun is? Obviously, that's the topic of today's episode, so there probably isn't like a quick answer you can give me, but how do you know what gender nouns are in Urdu?
Well,
All right, so like for example, the word for chair, kursi. Mujhe bataएं, kursi muzakkar ya monas hai?
तो कुर्सी मुअन्नस है.
Acha. And how did you know that?
Well, so this word happens to fall under a rule that lets you know that it's feminine. But there aren't always rules. For many words, you'll just need to memorize what gender it is. But since there are a few rules, let's look at them now.
Okay, so I organize these rules by how strong they are, like how sure we can trust them. Unfortunately, there's only one rule that I feel like we can trust every single time. So the first rule we have is that all nouns referring to something male are masculine, and all nouns referring to something female are feminine. essentially the only rule that we can follow and be correct 100% of the time. Some easy examples of this are admi, which is man, that is going to be masculine, orit, which is woman, that's going to be feminine, shoher, husband, that's going to be masculine, bivi, wife, that's going to be feminine. So these ones are pretty straightforward. We assume that a man is male, and therefore, ye admi, mera bai hai.
Right, and you can compare that to
So vo admi, mera bai hai, mera, right? So masculine, or vo orit, meri behen hai. That woman is my sister, but we're saying Mary because orit is feminine.
exactly, yeah. And then for the next two, shohar and bivi, we could say Salim Mavra ka shohar hai, which means Salim is Mavra's husband. And then we could say Mavra Salim ki bivi hai, which means Mavra is Salim's wife.
And we're changing the ka and the ki to agree with the gender of the noun.
Exactly, yep. But some words could refer to either gender, and therefore we need to know who we're talking about. For example, the word dost, which means friend. So our sentence could be Mariam meri dost hai. Travis bhi mera dost hai. So, we see that meri, mera distinction.
Okay, and we know that Miriam is female here, and Travis is male, based on the agreement. But the word dosed didn't change in either of those sentences, right?
Exactly. Okay, so the next word is science dan, which I mean, I don't want to say something like, oh, you'll never use, but I've never used it.
You just say scientist.
I don't talk about scientists in the Urdu language. I just don't come across that
I
subject.
feel
But yeah,
pretty I feel pretty like good things about our listeners. They probably talk about a lot of science subjects in Urdu, so when they're referring to scientists, they should know that the word science dan
right,
is the same whether the scientist is male or female.
right. So for example, in our sentence, Einstein एक मशहूर साइंसदान था. Oh, I find myself saying ta, but I think there's
It's
a level of
pretty disrespectful
informality.
to Einstein.
Exactly. Okay, fine. All right, let's try that again. Einstein एक मशहूर साइंसदान थे. So, Einstein एक मशहूर साइंसदान थे. और Rosalind Franklin इतनी मशहूर साइंसदान नहीं थी.
And Shireen, can you tell me why you said te instead of ta for
Yeah, I was
Einstein?
hoping you
No
wouldn't
one would
ask me
ask. No one would ask.
that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to do with the level of formality. It's just ta is um,
So it's
what
a
you would
level of
use with
respect, right? So Einstein, big time,
right,
famous, worldwide known scientist, even
right,
though he's passed away, we're going to talk about him respectfully, right?
no doubt.
But
Yeah,
the te, we said ek, so we know it's one, but we're still saying science dan te, so we know we're being respectful to a male scientist that used to be.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I've got some other words that Shireen didn't like that much because she says she doesn't use them.
Not yet. But yeah, now that I'm going to learn, I'm going to use them.
All right, so we have some other examples. So mezban, mezban. This is a host, and it's the same. Oh, could we say mezbani?
But that'd be an adjective.
Okay. Yeah, it should be mezban, no matter what. Mezban, host. Sahafi, journalist. I've got Karkun on the list here, Shireen, for worker, but I just don't know if we'd ever say that about a female worker.
Yeah, so I did ask Anjum, and she confirmed, although she also had her own doubts, but she did tell me, like, for example, she said she named a woman who is a Sahafi, karkun, which is a social worker.
Samaji.
Um,
Samaji.
what did I say?
Sahapi, because it's in your mind. Start it over. You're
See
gonna
how
get it.
unfamiliar I am with these words? Yes. So she she said that you could use samaji karkun.
Okay. All right. And so while we were talking about words that had just one form but could be either gender depending on what we're talking about, there are some words that have two forms, right? There's a
Mhm.
word for the male who does that job or has this title or whatever, and then for the female, right? So some examples we have are ustad, which is a teacher but a male teacher, and then ustani, which is a female teacher, and adakar, which is an actor, and then we have adakara, which is actress, gulukar, singer, gulukara, a female singer, musannif, author, musannifa, which is a female author. And like, I don't think you're going to be faulted or called out for being wrong if you say like J.K. Rowling, musannif, hey, or if you're talking about Mahira Khan and say that Vo Adakar, hey, like that she's an actor. Because I think I've seen those kinds of things done in Urdu news or Urdu newspapers. But there is a word for the male of that role or position and of the female.
Okay. So then I have a question for you.
Perfect.
आपकी कोई कैसे कहेंगे आपकी सबसे पसंदीदा मुसन्निफा कौन है?
ठीक है तो मैं J.K. Rowling पसंद करता हूँ,
अच्छा.
लेकिन
Okay.
मेरी पसंदीदा मुसन्निफा. Oh, sorry. This is a very easy one. Agatha Christie.
Oh, that's a name I hear all the time, but I haven't read her.
You've never read an Agatha Christie?
No. All right, I'll
You've
add her to the.
you've never read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd?
I have not.
This is embarrassing, Shane.
Is it okay? Well, it's
Put
not
that
gonna make
put that
the.
in the beginning.
No.
All right.
All right.
So J.K. Rowling and Agatha Christie. All right. So moving on to our second rule, which is very strong. There are exceptions to what we're about to say, but it's a pretty strong rule, and you can almost always be right about the gender of a noun in Urdu if you follow this rule. So in general, nouns that end with a, with both alif and chotihe, are masculine, and words that end in e with a chotiye are feminine.
Exactly. इसलिए मुझे पता था कि कुर्सी मुअन्नस है. That's how I knew that kursi is feminine. So the first one we've got ladka, which means boy, and you can hear that ah sound at the end, so that's what's causing it to be masculine, ladka. And then the opposite, ladki, which is girl, and that you hear that e sound, right? Ladki. So ladka, masculine, ladki, feminine.
Yep. And we have beta, which is son, and beti, which is daughter. Bacha, which is a child that's male, and bachi, which is a child that's female. And then we're going to move into some examples that are of inanimate or abstract nouns. So these are things that are not naturally something that you're going to think of as male or something that you're going to, perceive to be female. And therefore, we've got to start relying upon the rule that we just went over of ending in a or ending in e to tell us the gender. So kela, banana, hira, diamond, daria, river.
Another episode that I had started in which I say you can use the word choti or chota to pair it with, and if it helps you remember it better, right? Oh, ye chota kela hai.
For these words, right? We can say vokela barahe, vohira barahe, voduria, I guess barahe. I think most people would say like it's a long river, not a big one,
Mm.
but if they were feminine, like we would have had to say bari. So we say bara, and then we have some. Those all ended in alif. We have some masculine nouns ending in chotihe. All right, so we have pata, which is address, darvaza, which is door, sitara, which is star, and siara, which is planet. And I don't know about you, Shireen, but I feel like I see these spelled sometimes with alif, sometimes with chotihe. Some of these words like daria and sitara, I see those instead of being spelled with an alif. I see daria spelled with chotihe, and I see sitara spelled with alif instead of chotihe. So either there's like accepted alternate spellings, or I don't know how to spell them to begin with, but that's just something that I see out there.
Yeah,
But it didn't change the fact that all of those were masculine nouns and they all end with that ah sound.
gotcha. Yeah, now that works for me.
Do you got any examples for? Well, actually, before we move on to examples, it looks like I've got some exceptions to this rule that we took notes of, right? So salgira, salgira, salgira. How do you say that word?
Yeah, salgira.
So salgira, is that masculine or feminine, Shireen?
It's feminine. Yeah,
But it ends with a chodihe.
exactly.
It ends with the ah sound. So that's an exception. We've got, and this is one that you probably will not see all the time, but right now we're living in the times of COVID. So uh, waba, which is an epidemic, is apparently feminine. I learned that from reading the news. I wouldn't have known that otherwise. And then saza, saza, punishment, is also feminine.
Hmm.
So those were words that were exceptions to the rule we just gave, that and that nouns ending in ah are masculine. There may be more exceptions out there. Those were just a few to prove that that rule isn't 100% good to go. And now we've got some examples of feminine nouns that end with a chotie. Can you share those with us, Shireen?
Sure. Okay, so we've got kahani, which means story. Then we've got azadi, which means independence. Nokri, which means job. Roti, which means bread. Zindagi, which means life. And shadi, which means wedding.
Right. And it took me a while to find an example of one that didn't follow this rule, but pani is masculine.
Yeah.
And that ends with a chodie. So whether there's like more examples out there, it's pretty safe that if a word ends in e, that it's feminine, but at least one exception to that out there. Anything else you want to say about this rule right here? This is what most people are going to follow, right?
What do you mean?
Like I'm saying, like this is a pretty strong rule. Lots of words end with either ah
Right.
or
Yeah,
e.
yeah, yeah.
If you run into an abstract noun or one that is not, evident by context that it's masculine or feminine, like this is what you're going to use as your starting point if you don't have a good dictionary that tells you the gender of every word.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so moving on to rule number 3. Generally words that end in te, so like bot, which means thing or like a saying, is feminine. Hakumet, government, feminine. Hadayat, which is like instruction or direction. Sehat, health. Shanakt, identity. Mot, death. Those are all feminine nouns. Um, And Shireen, when I was doing research for this, because obviously not everything is locked away tight in my brain, but I was looking to see if there was a good list of rules out there that we could base this on for the episode, and I saw that somebody said that all words that end in te are feminine. Like that was one of their 100% rules.
Really?
And like gosht is masculine, darakt, gosht being meat, and like darakt
Yeah.
being a
Hmm.
tree, and vakt, which is a pretty common word.
Yeah, as
Vakt.
you're listing these, I'm in my head, I'm like,
No, I
wait,
know
is
you're
it?
you're trying to think. You're like meravakt. Well, I guess meravakt
Well,
doesn't.
no, like, so the word that keeps coming back, keeps that I'm using, because I obviously suggested bada and chota or badi choti, but
Oh, to try and
sara,
use them.
sara is also coming. So, gosht, bahut sara gosht, right? It's not bahut sari gosht, it's bahut sara gosht, a lot of meat. Or darakt, right? Bahut sare darakt. So maybe we could say that majority of the
Yeah, yeah,
words.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a,
Yeah,
this is a very strong rule. I'm just saying
yeah,
that there are
exceptions.
exceptions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but in general, this is a pretty strong word, pretty strong rule. If a word ends in te, it's going to be feminine for the most part.
So our next rule is words that end in sheen are feminine. For example, sazish, that means conspiracy. That's feminine. Then we have koshish, which means try or attempt. Then we have something related to mot, which is lash, which means body, but a dead body, isn't it? Lash.
Well, we have like this could be like corpse, right? So corpse implies dead body, but if we're gonna say just a body, we would say body.
Oh, that's true. Okay, fine.
So
So corpse is a better. Yeah.
तो मेरा एक दूसरा सवाल है ये है जिस्म मुज़क्कर या मुअन्नस है?
Muzakkar ya muannas. Jism. ये जिस्म.
Doesn't follow any of our rules right now, huh?
No, it doesn't. Um, आपका जिस्म इतना बड़ा है. Yeah, so so it would be muzakkar because jism is masculine. See, that's the tool I use. Like, oh, is it bada or
No, no,
chota? So yeah.
and look, we alluded to that at the beginning of this conversation. There's a lot that you just have to learn, just have to memorize, and you know, I know native speakers are some of my former teachers who, if you ask them a question about gender or like agreement in something, I can see them putting it into a sentence in their head,
Right, to test it.
just
Yeah.
to test it out and make sure. So moving on back to our rules, Shireen. Words that end in this is our next rule right here. Words that end in noon or noon guna are masculine, and I put especially if they're like using some of these suffixes like istan or pun. Also, the caveat that we're obviously talking about words that are singular in the nominative case, right? So not words that have the like endings that are going to end in noon guna because they're in an oblique plural case, right?
Okay.
So I got bachpan, childhood, it's masculine. Kabristan, which is a graveyard, that is also masculine. Shireen, can you say this next word for me?
Kuan.
Kuan,
Kuan.
Kuan
Yeah.
is a well. That's ending with that, that noon guna right there. And then just a few other words that end in noon that are masculine as well. So bayan, din, imtihan, asman, zehen. So bayan is statement, din is day, imtihan is an examination or like a test, asman is sky, and zehen is mind. There are a few exceptions to this rule though. Zameen, land, is feminine, and zaban, language or tongue, is also feminine, and those both end with the noon. That was it for the rules. that we came up with. There is one more thing I want to do though.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of words that I'm going to ask you based on the rules we just went over to tell me if they're masculine or feminine.
Oh, really? Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't know this was coming,
I did not.
and I'm not cheating. None of these are like exceptions or like tricky words. These are straight out of the news or wherever.
Oh man, I hate the words out of the news, but okay, let's see how well I
That's
do.
that's how I know that you won't know these already because they're words that aren't used every day in the household. So these all follow the rules we went over. There's no I'm not trying to trick you here. I'm just trying
Gotcha,
to
gotcha.
all right, so the first word is khud muktari.
Okay.
Khud muktari.
Can
And
I get a definition, please?
you may I mean I can spell it for you too if that helps. But uh autonomy or sovereignty.
Okay. Khud muktari. So
Yeah,
because it ends with that E sound, I would say it's feminine.
and you would be correct.
Awesome.
All right, so the second word is intizamia. Intizamia.
Intizamia? Like with it's not intizamiat,
No, intizamia
intizamia.
means like administration.
Okay, so does it end with a choti he?
Yeah.
And I believe the rule was, yeah, I think it was choti he was no, alif. Choti he sounds like alif, and if it's alif, then it's masculine, isn't it? Or if that sound
Yes.
is there, then it's masculine. Yeah,
Correct.
sweet.
And the next word, Shireen, is Sahara. Sahara means support or like help.
So Sahara it ends in an alif, so that makes it um masculine.
Yes.
And plus, I could say bahut bada Sahara.
You
Yeah,
could, yeah, because I guess this is probably a word that
yeah, that
is
is a
has
word
been
I'm
heard,
familiar
right?
with.
Okay.
Yeah,
We need trickier words then.
not really.
All right. Here's an easy one that I know you've heard. So Kurbani.
Ah, okay. Yeah, and that happened recently with the Eid al-Adha. Kurbani. Kurbani ends in, oh, yeah, no, it's feminine because it has that E sound. Because
Mm-hmm.
bahut badi Kurbani. Yeah.
Yep. All right. And then all right, so the next word is Jazeera. Jazeera.
Oh, I feel like I've heard this word. Hold on, let me tell you. Because I'm thinking of like desert or
It
a
is it
forest
is a
or
it is a geographical feature.
island.
It's island, yeah.
Island. Okay,
So
okay.
like
Yeah.
the newspaper Al Jazeera.
Yeah, that's
So
definitely what came to mind. Okay.
I can't tell when
Um
you're being sarcastic. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
no. Yeah, it did. Okay, Jazeera. Um
So
that's
even if you're not sure how it's spelled, but
right. Yeah, that ending makes
mm,
it masculine.
yep. Okay, so next word is kashti, a boat.
Okay. Yeah, this is not something I'm familiar with, and like you said, it means boat. So that has the e ending. So yeah, badi kashti. Yep, that would be feminine.
Okay, that is correct. Next word. So mulkiyat, mulkiyat,
Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with this word.
which
Um,
is ownership. Mal
Malkiyat.
Malik say mulkiyat.
Well, yeah, it ends in te. So we had said that that most of them are feminine. But let me see if I can use that in a sentence. ये मेरी मलकियत है. Like, and I don't think
Okay.
I'm pronouncing it right. Malkiyat. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Hi. ये मेरी मलकियत है, which is, you know, मेरी which is feminine. So yeah.
Okay, I got one that follows the rules. I love this.
But I mean, all of them have followed the rules.
No, I know, but this one follows all the rules, Shireen. So,
What?
Kelari. Kelari.
Yeah, and that means a player, isn't it?
Yep, an athlete, somebody who plays.
Right.
So, is that masculine or feminine?
Oh, I see. So it depends on,
Who we're talking about?
yeah, exactly. Because, Serena Williams, ek badi achhi khiladi hai. Or we could say, LeBron James, ek bada acha khiladi hai.
Teak. Okay, those were a bunch of words that followed the rules that we went over.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. I bet you guys are beginning to see the difference in the type of vocabulary used in episodes that are written by me compared to episodes that are written by Travis, like this one. I know that the vocabulary was quite difficult. Even I'm learning it. But the rules for how to detect whether a noun is feminine or masculine are solid. So even if you ignore the words that were introduced in this episode, you walk away with several good tips. As always, there is a free handout for each episode available on our website, www.urdusikhiye.com. So I would highly recommend that you download it. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on our website. If you scroll down on the page for each episode, you'll see the discussion section at the bottom. We've heard from several listeners, so thank you very much for the interaction. Please keep it coming. Once again, as I requested earlier, if you're enjoying this podcast, please help us spread the word and consider leaving us a review on iTunes. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, Khuda Hafiz.